I just tell people that prairies are much like a Amazon rainforest if you take the time to slow down and look at all the cool things that live there. And it's also the most endangered ecosystem type on the planet. Our postage stamp of habitat in Nobles County looks pretty darn good, but the more people that you can get to love prairies, the more people that will protect them and try to build some more of them.
Scott Rawl is a dedicated volunteer, spending the majority of his time working in conservation.
The chapter started in '82. I joined in like '86, '87, took over the president role in '05, and we've since '05 to now, we have added 25 public hunting areas in Nobles County. We're up to about 3,500 acres. And when they cost $5,000 an acre, that's a lot of doing, to grow. Every time I see a rooster fly across the road, I said, I spend my whole life trying to make sure there's a place for you to be.
It's that dedication that's led to all these awards, including Scott being named Volunteer of the Year.
Those are humbling to me because I really don't need to stand in any light of any kind, but our chapter won Chapter of the Year in the nation for habitat expenditures in 2010 and 2014. My dad always says the harder you work, the luckier you get. So maybe if you work hard enough, you get a little lucky.
One of the major projects that the Nobles County chapter worked on was right across the road from Scott's property. We're about to walk a piece that is about to be opened up to the public, right, Scott?
Correct. It's in the process of transitioning from Pheasants Forever's ownership over to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources.
This is 320 acres?
It's 320, the parcel is, and then there's 2 small acreages that the sellers retained. So it ended up being 296 acres total of the 320.
I'm real excited because I wasn't even planning to hunt today. Because it's kind of a special hunt for some special people, and I am not that special. But he said, well, you get to shoot this Sweet 16. I said, okay, I guess I'll walk a little bit, try to find some birds with it. Tell me about this gun, Scott.
That was actually Pheasants Forever's Gun of the Year. And I was the first one of those. I got on a waiting list 2 years ahead of time, and they called me first, and he said, I got your gun. I said, how much is it? He said, if you have to ask, you don't want it. But it was the first one in Southwest Minnesota, came from Reed. So it weighs 5 3/4 pounds. It's just the sweetest pheasant gun ever.
It's a beautiful gun. I'm excited to try it. I've always wanted to shoot one. Let's see how she works.
Let's go get them. Our chapter was able to do some restoration work here. We did 190 acres of prescribed fire out here. We removed 560 invasive cottonwood trees.
560?
Biggest one was 13.5 feet around on the bottom.
Whoa.
125 others hauled just about, I'm guessing, 8 tons worth of scrap iron and wire and posts and debris.
Not only did they take trees and debris off the property, but lots and lots of tires.
3 semi-loads of tires. So I think the guy that owned this, if you hauled your tire to the shop, they charge you, like a tractor tire costs like $100 to get rid of. So he told all his neighbors, you bring your tires out to me and I'll charge you $50. So we hauled 3 semi-loads of tires off of this property. Right. They were stacked up everywhere. We didn't do anything. Those are the ones we pulled out of the water.
Wow.
Scott's passion for conservation is inspiring. And when he worked on this project, he wasn't alone.
I tallied it just the other day. We have 1,046 hours of volunteer time that's been expended on this. We had a habitat cleanup day. We had 41 people showed up just before COVID hit. We had 41 volunteers showed up. They all worked for 8 or 10 hours that day. It was really quite impressive.
It's leadership at events like this that's earned Scott enough respect to have a seat at an even more influential table.
My work with Pheasants Forever got me appointed to the Lessard Sam's Outdoor Heritage Council, which is responsible for recommending the spending of about $100 million a year for habitat for game, fish, and wildlife. That was a really important job. I said, as a civilian, probably one of the most important jobs you could have.
The Lessard Sam's Outdoor Heritage Council provides annual funding recommendations that directly relate to the restoration, protection, and enhancement of wetlands, prairies, forests, and habitat for fish, game, and wildlife, and that prevent forest fragmentation, encourage forest consolidation, and expand restored native prairie. And when it comes to the landscape in Nobles County, wildlife and agriculture aren't the only things under consideration.
But are you familiar with the Topeka shiner? Topeka shiner is a endangered fish. Well, it only gets about this big.
Okay, sure.
And it's in the Missouri River watershed, which this is. From Worthington, Minnesota, 7 miles from here, half the water in Worthington runs to the Mississippi watershed, and half runs to the Missouri River watershed.
Really?
So the water comes up, the Topeka shiners get trapped in there, the water goes down, they breed for a year, and then the following spring, when the water levels come up, it re-releases those Topeka shiners back into the system. This project here is slated for like 6 of those endangered Topeka shiner restoration projects. Wow. So it isn't just about pheasants or can I kill a deer. It comes down to all of the creatures that live here, sure. You know, all right down to a Topeka shiner, you know.
This exemplifies the philosophy of many conservationists. It's not just about having more animals to go out there and hunt. It's about protecting the ecosystem and giving future generations opportunities to enjoy the land and the wildlife that lives there. And it isn't about taking the entire landscape and converting it back to grass and other wildlife habitat, but doing it in the places that make the most sense.
Of this entire farm, of the 320 acres that existed, there was only 38 acres that were actually under active agriculture. The rest of it was so steep, so wet, that it was all in farm programs like CRP and different things. As far as most public land acquisitions done by most organizations, that be that the DNR or US Fish or Pheasants Forever, most of those are marginal.
Ground that once included a gnarled mess of tires and wires now features swaying grasses that stand tall. The tangle of trees and brush that clogged up the corners are now transitional areas free of aerial predator perches. The hard work did not go unnoticed. In 2020, Pheasants Forever named Nobles County their National Chapter of the Year once again.